For the News Center of the Renaissance Communications Incorporated, a pleasant good evening and welcome to News Desk, 45 minutes of news from the news here at RCR. Today is Tuesday, May 26, 2026. My name is Gbarntolmah presenting. In the headlines, health authorities request over $4 million United States dollars aims to strengthen Ebola preparedness efforts in the country announces that 16 individuals are on observation following their arrival of Ebola-affected African countries. Plenary of the House of Representatives constitute a special committee to work with health authorities regarding the country's preparedness for any possible outbreak of Ebola. Following his recent appearance at a rally, Bone County District 3 Representative Josiah Mavico recommends the immediate dismissal of Civil Service Director General Josiah Jukai away from Liberia. South African President mounts legal challenge against report that could lead to invention. These plus many more the reading of the news bulletin sports are all packaged on today's edition of the program News Deck. We'll take a break. To be back. Many thanks for rejoining us. We are powered by Orange Liberia and Ecobank Liberia Limited. But at this point, Emmanuel Sensee is pretty seated to bring us the news bulletin. Good evening.
Good evening, Johnson, and good evening, everyone. The National Public Health Institute of Liberia has announced that 16 individuals are currently under surveillance following their recent arrival from Ebola affected African countries. According to the Interim Director General of the National Public Health Institute of Liberia, NPO, Dr. Sia Wata Kamano, the individuals who are foreign nationals arrived from East African nations, including Uganda and the Democratic Republic of Congo. Dr. Siakamano said the move is part of Liberia's strengthened surveillance and preparedness measures aimed at preventing any possible re-emergence of the deadly Ebola virus within the country. The National Public Health Institute of Liberia has, however, reassured the public that no confirmed cases of Ebola have been recorded in Liberia at this time. Highlights of the Interim Director General of the National Public Health Institute of Liberia, Dr. Sia Wata Kamano, during her appearance at the Liberian Senate. At the same time, Minister of Health Dr. Louis Poto has disclosed that the government, through the Ministry of Health and the National Public Health Institute of Liberia, has allocated over $4 million United States dollars to strengthen the country's Ebola preparedness efforts. The minister disclosed a recent update to the Liberian Senate. Speaking before lawmakers, Dr. Poto stated that a total of 4.2 million US dollars has been set aside specifically for Ebola preparedness activities across the country. She emphasized that the budget is strictly intended for preventive measures, including surveillance, training, logistics, and public health readiness, aimed at ensuring Liberia is fully equipped to respond swiftly in the event of any suspected cases. Dr. Poto, however, clarified that this allocation does not cover the cost of an actual outbreak response. She noted that if Liberia reports any confirmed Ebola cases, a separate and significantly larger budget will be required to handle response operations, including treatment, containment, and emergency intervention. The health minister reassured the Senate that the government remains proactive and committed to safeguarding public health through early preparedness and strategic planning. Liberia continues to strengthen its health system as part of ongoing efforts to prevent the re-emergence of the deadly Ebola virus. Acting Director General of the Liberia Agricultural Commodity Regulatory Authority says Liberia's compliance with the European Union Deforestation Regulation, the EUDR, is critical to preventing or protecting the country's agricultural and maintaining access to international markets. Speaking during a Senate hearing, Dansai described the discussion as one that goes beyond foreign environmental policy and directly concerns the future of Liberia's trade, rural livelihoods, and competitiveness in the global economy. According to SAE, the EUDR is a new European Union regulation designed to monitor and govern trade involving commodities linked to deforestation. SAE explained that Liberia is not exempted from the regulation and noted that all exporting countries, including those within West Africa, are expected to comply. The LACRA boss warned that failure to with the regulation by December 30 could have serious consequences for Liberia's farmers and agricultural sector. He emphasized that nearly 70% of Liberia's population depends on agriculture for survival and said many farmers risk losing market access and employment opportunities if the country fails to meet the standards set by the European Market or Union. Myean representatives from the European Union at the hearing highlighted that countries such as Cote d'Ivoire and Ghana are already complying with the EUDR framework, while others are making steady progress. He explained that the EUDR is a binding environmental law adopted by the European Union to ensure that products consumed by European citizens do not contribute to global deforestation or environmental degradation. In another development, the chairperson of the board of the Liberia Agricultural Commodity Regulatory Authority, Josephine George Francis, has described the European deforestation regulation as a major opportunity for Liberia to strengthen its agricultural sector. Speaking during a stakeholders engagement on agricultural commodity regulations, Francis stressed the importance of regulation and traceability in ensuring sustainable growth and boosting investor confidence in Liberia's agricultural industry. Reflecting on Liberia's long history in rubber production, Madam Francis noted that Liberia must begin taking stronger steps to organize and regulate the sector if it hopes to remain competitive internationally. She said commodities such as rubber, cocoa, and coffee remain critical to Liberia's economy and warned that failure to comply with the AUDR by December 30 could prevent those products from entering the European Union market, which remains one of Liberia's largest trading destinations. Francis further cautioned that other international markets, including Asia and the United States, could eventually adopt similar environmental and trade standards, making compliance unavailable for Liberia's future trade prospects. She praised Firestone Liberia for already working with smallholder farmers and supporting the development of improved rubber plums, while noting that neighboring Cote d'Ivoire is currently ahead of Liberia in implementing reforms within the rubber sector. The John F. Kennedy Medical Center has suspended nurse Paula N. Bittel with immediate effect following an emerged or alleged Ebola-related audio leak. According to reports, the audio message believed to have been shared by Nurse Bittel in a WhatsApp group claimed that patients with Ebola-like symptoms were being concealed by authorities at JFK and the Ministry of Health. The suspension comes on the same day the National Public Health Institute of Liberia confirmed that 16 individuals from East Africa, including the Democratic Republic of Congo and Uganda, are currently under surveillance after entering Liberia. Nurse Vidal was arrested on Saturday, May 23, 2026, and later released to her lawyers on Monday, May 25, 2026, as investigation continues. JFK authorities have clarified that the suspension does not imply guilt but is a procedural step intended to allow a fair, impartial, and uninterrupted investigation. Meanwhile, Nurse Bidder has been instructed to refrain from all official duties and representation until the investigation is concluded. Bone County District 3 Representative Josiah Marvin Poe is calling for the immediate dismissal of the Civil Service Agency Director General Josiah Joker following the appearance of Director Joker at a political rally. Speaking to legislative reporters on Tuesday, Representative Poe expressed his disappointment over Joker's presence at the National Independent Movement for Bwaka Nimbo ceremony in Kwakota on Sunday, May 25, 2026. NIMBO is a political institution organized by Deputy Speaker Thomas Fallon to support President Joseph Boakar's second term bid. According to Representative Poe, the CSA Director General was seen wearing a uniform bearing NIMBO in support of President Joseph Boakar. He highlighted that Josiah had previously dismissed numerous Liberians from the civil service payroll for alleged political activities. The Bone County District 3 lawmaker argued that Joker's own participation in a political rally wearing party materials was a direct violation of the code of conduct for government officials. Representative Poe is, however, calling on President Joseph Boaker to dismiss the CSA boss or have him, Josiah Joker, resigned from the Civil Service Agency. In addition to the call for Joker's dismissal, Representative Poe raised concerns about the arrest of a nurse from the John F. Kennedy Medical Hospital who allegedly spread false information about an Ebola outbreak in Liberia. They questioned the Ministry of Health and police about the legal basis for the arrest, arguing that the nurse was simply trying to caution her community based on information she received from the nursing director. Meanwhile, Representative Marvin Poe has called for an inquiry into matter of legislative staffers' alleged salary cuts and the removal of their benefits at the House of Representatives. Criminal Court A Tuesday rejected prosecution request to rescind his previous decision denying the autopsy report on the remains of Tony Jackson, wife of Samuel Jackson. Judge Christopher Willey's action, according to our judicial correspondent, was due to defense lawyers' request that they wanted to do their own autopsy on the deceased, which was rejected by the state. Judge Willey ruled that the autopsy work done by the state lawyers pathologist on the remains of Tony Jackson at the St. Moses Funeral Home is null and void and cannot be used in the Samuel Jackson says criminal case. Judge Willey said other work to visit and document the crime scene through photograph, video, and written notes, collecting and preserving evidence samples, analyzing physical evidence, and searching for materials clues I declared authentic and valid to be used when the case begins. But state lawyers took exception to Judge Willey ruling, saying they would take the advantage of the law, controlling, meaning they could take flight before the justice in chamber at the Supreme Court to overturn Judge Willey's decision. On April 27, prosecution law filed a motion before Criminal Court A seeking to restart Judge Willey's April 22 ruling not to grant authorization to Dr. Rockefeller Cooper to conduct autopsy on the remains of Tony Jackson. They argued that based on the statutory authority of the Liberia Medical and Dental Council, Dr. Cooper is not a pathologist, but rather a forensic death investigator. Resisting said motion, defense lawyers argued that the motion is moot, but because the February term of court in which the ruling was made has long elapsed, and this is the May term of court and should therefore be denied and dismissed. The presiding justice in chambers at the Supreme Court is expected to deny or grant former Finance Minister Samuel Tware's lawyers' request to stop the ongoing jurors' investigation on allegations on jury tampering. Associate Justice Yusuf Kaba, according to our judicial correspondent, has mandated Criminal Court C presiding Judge Usman Feka to stop all proceedings into the matter after 12 lawyers claimed through a petition that Judge Faker lacks jurisdiction over the matter. 12 lawyers argued that the fact Judge Faker has disbanded the jury following their verdict, he had no legal authority to probe into misconduct or jury tampering despite his final ruling was still pending. Our judicial correspondent said, as a result of two lawyers' request, Justice Kaba has cited the parties for a legal conference scheduled for Wednesday, May 27, 2026, to hear from state lawyers regarding 12 lawyers' claims after three of the 15 panel men jurors filed a complaint before criminal could see that some of their colleagues were involved in jury misconduct. Wednesday's conference will determine as to whether Justice Kaba will decline or issue the alternative rate of prohibition consistent with Chapter 16 when Section 16.22 of the Judicial Law of Liberia. The Environmental Protection Agency has found and sectioned Mountain Mining Corporation over a toxic fish kill in Grand Cape County, alleging contamination from within the company's concession and multiple environmental violation. New Narratives reporter Cyrus Hammond quoted the EPA as saying that a pesticide linked to the incident killed aquatic life and could pose long-term risks to nearby communities. Bay Mountain denies responsibility, rejects the findings, and says it will challenge these sections. The case comes 4 years after a Sinidap spill linked to the same mine left affected communities still struggling for water, and livelihoods. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Liberia, MFA, in partnership with UN Women Liberia, has convened a high-level stakeholder dialogue on Liberia's draft gender-responsive foreign policy, the GRFP strategy at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Monrovia. The dialogue brought together representatives from government institutions, civil society organizations, development partners, and other key stakeholders to review framework for gender responsive diplomacy. During the meeting, lead consultant Dr. Tayan Asata Garnett presented an overview of the strategy's vision, guiding principles, strategic payload, targets, and implementation framework. Once adopted, the strategy is expected to position Liberia among the first African nations to formally adopt a gender responsive foreign policy. The proposed policy framework advances a gender transformative and intersectional approach to foreign policy, emphasizing the integration of gender equality, human rights, justice, and the empowerment of women and girls across all areas of diplomacy and international engagement. The strategy also highlights the importance of collaboration with feminist civil society organizations and movement. Speaking on behalf of the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Sarah Ambassador Yanti, Assistant Minister for Foreign Affairs Jackie Maki highlighted Liberia's growing global engagement of feminist diplomacy and the significance of the ongoing process. Jackie Maki stated that next month, June 2026, the FFP Plus group will convene again in Madrid for the fifth Feminist Foreign Policy Conference. Madam Maki at the same time revealed that the stakeholder dialogue marks another important milestone in Liberia's effort to institutionalize gender equality. Mongivi County District 2 Representative Ava Jones submitted a proposed legislation to the plenary of the House of Representatives seeking the establishment of a national preventive mechanism against torture and other forms of inhuman treatment in Liberia. In his communication address to House Speaker Richard Nangbekun, Representative Jones called for the amendment of the Act establishing the Independent National Commission on Human Rights, the INCHR. The proposed legislation aims to strengthen Liberia's compliance with the optional protocol to the Convention Against Torture and Other Cruel, Inhuman, or Degrading Treatment or Punishment, a United Nations protocol signed by Liberia in September 2004. Representative Jones referenced Article 21E of the 1986 Constitution of Liberia, which prohibits torture and inhuman treatment of individuals under arrest, detention, or confinement. The Magical lawmaker said recent incidents of public abuse and violation of violence, including a widely circulated social media video involving the alleged mistreatment of a young woman at the red light market, demonstrate the urgent need for preventive measures across the country. Now, in foreign news, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has started a legal challenge against a report commissioned by Parliament that has paved the way for MPs to once again consider impeachment proceedings against him. In 2022, an independent panel said Ramaphosa might have committed serious misconduct relating to the theft of large sums of cash hidden in a sofa at his private farm. The president denied any wrongdoing. Well, that's it for the news bulletin. It's back to you for continuation of the program.
Emmanuel Sensee and the news bulletin is a regular feature here on News Desk. Thanks to Emmanuel. Let's bring it up first development here on the program. The National Public Health Institute of Liberia has announced that 16 individuals are currently on observation following the recent arrival from Ebola-affected African countries, according to the interim director general at the NPO, Dr. Sia Wata Kamano. The institution or the individuals who are foreign nationals around East African countries, including Uganda and the Democratic Republic of Congo. Expert evolution 16 travelers from the region, the affected region, which include 9 Ugandans, 3 Nigerians, 1 from DRC, That was a highlight during the appearance of the interim Director General at the National Public Health Institute of Liberia, Dr. Sia Wata Kamano, at the Liberia Senate. At the same time, the Minister of Health, Dr. Louis Poto, disclosed that government, through the Ministry of Health and the National Public Health Institute of Liberia, has allotted over $4 million United States dollars to strengthen the country's Ebola preparedness efforts. The minister disclosed a recent set aside, especially for Ebola preparedness activities across the country. That's the boss of Liberia's Health Minister, Dr. Luis Porto, there speaking. Meanwhile, the plenary of the House of Representatives constituted a special committee to work with the Ministry of Health and the National Public Health Institute of Liberia regarding the country's preparedness for any possible outbreak of Ebola reportedly affecting the Democratic Republic of Congo and Central African nations. The committee, chaired by the chairperson of Health, Julie Weir, and comprises representatives from the committees on Ways, Means and Finance, Gender, and other designated resource persons, including Representative Musa Hassan Beneti, Representative Bernard Blue Benson, and Desin Sibo. The committee has been mandated to report its findings and recommendations on Thursday. The acting director general of the Liberia Agricultural Commodity Regulatory Authority says Liberia's compliance with the European Union deforestation regulation is critical for protecting the country's agriculture and maintaining access to international markets. Speaking during a Senate hearing, then Sani described the discussion as one that goes beyond foreign environmental policy and directly concerns the future of Liberia's trade, rural livelihoods, and competitiveness in a global economy. Libya is part of the problem with competition about environmental regulation and the impact about Libya's future access to international markets. The protections of real livelihoods, factors of citizens and farmers, and the ability of our country to remain competitive between a global economy and responsible commodity production. What is Libya and why does it matter? The European Union people is a new regulation for trade and development trade. Liberia is no exception to this regulation. The regulation requires all countries around the world, including countries within our sub-region, to be compliant. And Liberia being no exception, it is important that we emphasize this because other countries around Liberia have made significant progress in this regard. What Liberia risks is if they are not in compliance with this. We risk this losing rights, our farmers, the local people that we represent. We've always stated that 70% of our citizens live in agriculture. If we don't comply with these regulations by December 31st, many of our farmers will risk being involved. And therefore, Liberia should take strong look at the regulation because you, our senators, are also farmers. We want to make sure that we set the things and the local union is our favorite directions for trade. So, there's the balance with the Indian it's very requirement not to exist for things that will respond to the local union regulations. But it's a very requirement because this government will work also best together at the cost. What have we started for 1 year to reform that? The voice of Densai, he is the acting Director General of the Liberia Agriculture Commodity Regulatory Authority there speaking at the Senate hearing. Meanwhile, representative from the European Union at the hearing highlighted that countries such as La Cote d'Ivoire and Ghana are already complying with the EUDR framework, while others are making progress. The European Union delegation explained that the EUDR is a binding environmental law adopted by the European Union to ensure that products consumed by European citizens do not contribute to global deforestation or environmental degradation. Well, countries, they are already complying. Countries stand out, they are already complying. The others are making progress. Nigeria for the European Union is not only a country. Nigeria for the European and the guardian of the global sector, which is the Union Forest sector. To preserve its global sector is very interesting, not only in Nigeria and not only the future generations of this country, but also the in the interest of the European Union. And this regulation, on some cases very technical, this regulation is tries and aims to achieve this goal. And all basically the logic behind this is the shared global responsibility. It's both the European Union and Liberia and the other countries in this region and globally the other
standing for the European Union representation regulation. It's a founding environment bill brought by the European Union to ensure that conduct by European citizens do not contribute to global deforestation.
That was a representative from the European Union there speaking in a related development. The chairperson of the board at the Liberia Agriculture Commodity Regulatory Authority, Madam Josephine George Francis, described the EUDR as a major opportunity for Liberia to strengthen its agriculture sector, speaking during a stakeholder meeting on agriculture commodity regulations. Madam Francis stressed the importance of regulation and creates stability in ensuring sustainable growth and boosting investor confidence in Liberia's agricultural industry.
I was listening to the teachers speaking issues of the market sector. 15 years old, regulation. It's very important to be interest to you just to go in market to be very relative from Turkey. It's very important to investing investing. And as a family myself, I always ask the question, what's changing the fancy rules to get always every real have a development? And we just spoke about traceability, where I think we're responsible. This is important for us to be where our farms are. If people invest the courage to come and invest. When I talk about investing and investment, I work on Liberians themselves. We are the investors. But we must have to put policy in place that will govern the processes. So the regulation for us and trade is important because we have the value chain. We have our economy.
That's the voice of Madam Josephine George Francis. She is the chairperson of the board of directors at the Liberia Agriculture Commodity Regulatory Authority. They are speaking on the voice of a representative from the European Union and the IT Director General at the institution, Sensee. Bond County District 3 Representative Josiah Mapiko is calling for the immediate dismissal of Civil Service Director General Josiah Jukai following his appearance of the director at a political rally. Speaking to legislative reporters on Tuesday, Representative Cole expressed his disappointment over Jukai's presence at the National Independent Movement for Bwaka Nimo ceremony in Gbarntolmah on Sunday, May 25, 2026. Nimo is a political institution organized by Deputy Speaker Thomas Farr to support President Joseph Barker's second term bid. Speaking, that's according to Representative Martin Cole, CSA Director General, was seen wearing a uniform bearing Nemo in support of the president.
The attention has been turned to the last week activities of the NIMO, made an independent movement to support Waga's second term bid. That is being organized by Honorable Thomas Fala, the Deputy Speaker of the Republic of Liberia, who is a politician. At the rally, there was staggering revelation. The director of the Liberia Civil Service Agency, Mr. Josiah Joker, at that event, the process to raise the application was not really, but he decided to take the work of the uniforms and bury the national independent movement to support President Waka. Now, it's a joke. We should understand, as our people can always say, you cannot be putting the out of the issue of equitability and then your hands. And we, our moms and rich, even correct, in this country decide to get displaced thousands of Liberians from the Liberian civil service period. Some of the grounds that restricted the Liberian legislature was people that involved the political activities, the right to integrity institution, the LTA, the Central Bank of Liberia, all institutions. People were restricted. We never believe that those people were opposites. Mr. President is Excellency Joseph Clark. I am very, very grateful that God has given me life and we continue to stay in the affairs of this country to be English. And I tell Mr. President, maybe you not see, I'm calling on the Almighty God to open your eyes and to send them a new side from the same platform from giving from violence to the code of conduct. That's it. All members, the future of government to stay calm and we away from political rallies or using party materials on themselves and attending political rallies.
In addition to the call for Dukai's dismissal, Representative Cole raised concerns about the arrest of a nurse from the John F. Kennedy Medical Hospital who allegedly spread false information about an Ebola outbreak in Liberia. The lawmaker questioned the Ministry of Health and Police about the legal basis for the arrest, arguing that the nurse was simply trying to caution her community based on information she received from the nursing director.
The Ministry of Health and the Liberian National Police when they arrested one innocent nurse from the John F. Kennedy Medical Hospital, alleging that the nurse was allowing medical Ebola within our country. I really want to work from the Ministry of Health, the police, walk around to this work on it. You should show the law that say if you are informed that if you see somebody with symptoms as a medical practitioner with Ebola, you cannot be allowed. You cannot speak about it. So they are telling us if you are in Liberia, if you are the police, you see somebody behind you with red eye and everything, you should shut them up and come to the ministry and report that the minister should come back to talk about. Is that what the government is saying? My people, this country has a very bad experience concerning Ebola and coronavirus. I think the woman has not done anything. Besides, again, the protesters to start jumping and his wife. You fall and happen to be the director of the election department at JFK. It's an all-quarter meeting and spoke to the nurses and told them that this person will have all of the symptoms. And this other nurse is nearby. She was arrested. Mr. Josiah Joker witnesses should also equally be arrested because the law of our country is blind. It sees no authority, it sees the right of this country. And that is what should happen.
Meanwhile, the Bone County lawmaker has called for an inquiry into matter of legislative staffers, alleged salary cuts, and the removal of their benefits.
Well, besides, Josiah Joker, I told the people when he came and attacked the legislature, and the king was falsely, erroneously, criminally, that Productive Copa was doing everybody. Productive Copa had stopped temporary 1.5 million for the Nigerian government. This man was talking about integrity. Our people, the sacredness of this great woman was desecrated by Josiah Joker. He told people, I'm displayed in the public, and showing trying to insinuate that people power was taking place on the Joker. My understanding is the very election that he spoke against that he could not prove. We're not involved with it. We're running and dying right now. What's happening with the current period? That we were talking about 200 but now we are in 1,000. The House of Representatives bill. I'm hoping that Josiah Joker will come and tell us the structure of the House of Representatives bill and what happened that if all the staffers are coming in every week and having the salary. As we speak, directors at the House of Representatives, other civil servants in the central administration have not taken pay, gas to be cut away from people, and all sorts of things happening. I want to draw the speaker's attention. I think some of these things, Mr. Speaker, you may not be aware. I don't want to accuse you, but I think something is happening.
The boss of Bone County District 3 Representative Josiah Marvin Cole there speaking to legislative reporters on Tuesday at Hobbies. At this point, let's now join Naomi Tapia to bring us the personal last sports here on Newsdesk. Good evening.
The Sports Workers Association of Liberia has announced that they have upcoming events to set a party in 2026 at the Escalade Sports Complex. The numerous event ceremony is expected to bring together athletes, sports journalists, administrators, stakeholders, and distinguished guests to celebrate excellence and outstanding achievements in Liberian sports. And as Minister Augustine Lafont listed as guest speaker, the event is expected to attract an average sports and national stakeholders, dignitaries, and personalities for the Liberia. Red carpet activities will begin at 6 p.m., while the event officially starts at 7 p.m. Guests are expected to appear in business suits and dress attire. This year's event is on the theme Harnessing Space for National Development and Sustainability. The Space Workers Association of Liberia is encouraging the public and the sporting community to join in making the event a memorable celebration of space excellence and national development. Meanwhile, the Space Workers Association of Liberia has congratulated his remarkable achievements in guiding the combat football to get the domestic league championship. In a release, the Sports Records Association family who described Coach Jico as brilliant tactician, said was once again demonstrated his coaching excellence, accumulating an impressive 56 performances games to secure the first division 2025-26 league title. They added in the release that to further request dedication, tactical discipline, and outstanding leadership continue to inspire many across Nigerian football as they wish him even greater success in the season ahead. The Nigerian Football Association has disclosed that a new 27 round 22 match involving Shaka Index that was determined as focus points to Wednesday, June 2, 2026 at 2:30 at 4 p.m. The LK also added that Anushka Khanna will not be played on Sunday, June 7, away from Nigeria, legendary Argentina World Cup winner. India United has gained its unhappy spell at Manchester United and former Luis Ovanga in an exclusive interview with BBC Sport. United says Ovanga zeroed in on Nevertheless in his game, never the purpose which led him to quit being at the top of Ovanga played him in both wide positions, but also used the Myean in the number 2 role. And as the nature request to track the player wasn't doing the job he had been asked to fulfill, this led to arguments behind the scenes in which the owner exacerbated by an attempted burglary at his house in Texas when he was at home with his young family. Lamar Jones United on the pathway to the British record with the monthly $4 million the Real Madrid in August 2013 with the aim of making them champions again honors to Uganda. However, this kind of explosive start, they reached the Mara scored 2 goals and created 4 estimated games. The win didn't work out, and with the top ones was the Myean the league. And finally, Manchester City are leading the race to Sir Alex Emerson with the Nottingham Forest midfielder running towards a move to attack 7 instead of Manchester United. There's a growing expectation Emerson will leave the City ground this summer. United are willing to overpay or get drawn into the capital negotiations. Review has been struck between Forest and City in the club. Have had on their valuation for the 22-year-old, meaning the situation is still change. The team to become a record British player and he played the $1.5 million US after period website of the Premier in 2023. This is since a case that if there is a big sale this summer, it will be Emerson in a World Cup with England. We put them in a stronger bargaining position. Carrington is one of their with first manager with the career. Said honestly and Emmanuel gives right to deserve the top of the world. He would prefer to keep both players, but it is honestly with the movement to lead calmly, especially with no legal football and a super ground like Sydney after the 2016 in the Premier League. That's what our sports was.
Now, Metapia and the passion of last sports is a regular feature here on News Desk. In more developments, the Environmental Protection Agency has found and sanctioned the Myean Corporation over a toxic fish kill in Grand Gbarntolmah, alleging contamination from within the company's concession and multiple environmental violations. New Narratives reporter Cyrus Hammer quoted the Environmental Protection Agency as saying that a pesticide linked to the incident killed aquatic life and could pose long-term risk to nearby communities. The mountain denies responsibility, which the foundation says it will challenge the sanctions. That's all the time we have to be with you on today's edition of the program News Desk. As we take leave of you, a recap of our headlines. Health authorities in Liberia request over $2.4 million United States dollars aims to strengthen Ebola preparedness efforts in the country. Announces that 16 individuals are currently on observation following their return from Ebola-affected African countries. Plenary of the House of Representatives constitutes a special committee to work with health authorities in the country regarding the country's preparedness for any possible outbreak of Ebola. Following his recent appearance at a rally, Bond County District 3 lawmaker Josiah Maviko recommends the immediate dismissal of Civil Service Agency Director General Dr. Josiah Jokai away from Liberia. South African president wants legal challenge against report that could lead to impeachment. We'd love to say many thanks to our regular contributors, correspondents for making today's edition of the program resources. Special thanks to affiliate radio station that relay this broadcast. Thanks to Orange Liberia and EcoBank Liberia Limited for their sponsorship. Thanks to Emmanuel Sensee, who was here with the reading of the news bulletin. Yampi Daniel Darcy set control and handled the technical aspect of the news program, while Naomi Tapia brought for us the sports in news. On behalf of the news department, a Benin presenter, John C. Gbarntolmah. Good night.